And we're back with another episode of Lakers Latest. I'm Gerald Glassford, the host of the Lakers Latest podcast, part of the Fan Arc Network. Right there, Fan Arc. Please like and subscribe. Give that latest notification on when we go live on the air with the latest Lakers Latest right to you from our friends that upload it at the Fan Arc Network. And speaking of the Fan Arc Network, please go ahead and make sure you go over to their main page right there on YouTube, the Fan Arc Network. Check out all their shows because they got a ton of shows featuring a ton of teams that you might like to go ahead and catch on a regular basis, regular each and every day type thing. So please make sure you go ahead and like and subscribe to the Fan Arc Network as well. Well, heading into this big and all-important game against the Chicago Bulls. And I say that because with the win, the Lakers on Thursday night would be in sole possession of third place in the Western Conference. And after a first quarter that went back and forth, fairly even by the time all things shook out, the Lakers decided to do a couple of things. One of which is they turned on a high-octane offense, scoring 82 points in the next two quarters, and 34 to go ahead and finish it off. But they also gave up 72 of their own, as far as is concerned, in those two same quarters. So while defense wasn't at a premium, the offense sure as heck was, and the offense was provided virtually almost every single point of it by the starting five as LeBron James, Rui Hachimura, DeAndre Ayton, Luka Doncic, and Austin Reeves scored and scored and scored. Not getting much help today from the bench at all. 5 points in total from the bench, but that didn't matter because the Lakers got out to as much as a 23-point lead at one time, and they got it whittled down to 8 as far as the league is concerned, but never really in doubt once the second half really got underway and the Lakers pulled out the victory in relatively easy fashion, 142-130. High scoring contest, what can I say? It was back and forth, up and down. Reminded me of just a high-end scoring game where defense was not anywhere to be found after that first quarter. But, with Luka Doncic, LeBron James, and Austin Reeves, the big three, we'll go ahead and touch on in a sec. But DeAndre Ayton, yes, I know it was against a team that didn't really have or put out there a center to be really contesting much. And we've talked about this at times where DeAndre Ayton has these types of games against smaller teams. Well, that's he should be dominating against, to use the dominating prefix there. He scored 23 and 10. I'd like to see this kind of performance like on Saturday against Nikola Jokic. That would be real cool. But at least he had it today. 6 offensive rebounds, 23 points and 10 rebounds from him. Rui Hachimura, 3 of 5 from 3, 15 points for him. A really solid effort and efficient shooting. But it was the big three. The big three that got it done for the Lakers today. Was this overall their best game of the year for the big three? Let me know in the comments below if you think so, because it all started off with the man himself, Luka Doncic, 51 points, 10 rebounds, 9 assists. Again, an efficient shooting Luka Doncic, 17 of 31 overall, 9 of 14 from 3. That's what we want to see, and we're seeing it more often as of late, which is always good to see. Maybe reinserting himself into the MVP conversation now that the Lakers are third. I've said before, when we discussed this before about the MVP, in sixth place, nobody's going to care about Luka. The narrative isn't there. But if the Lakers establish themselves as a definitive number 3 in the West, maybe in 15 games we might have a different opinion on how far up or down the food chain on the MVP level is Luka Doncic. So if you have thoughts on Luka's MVP chances improving with a really good week, in fact, he had a 50 game, a 40 game, a high 30 game in the last 3 games, all against teams. Well, actually, not Chicago. Chicago's like, they're tanking right now. But 2 of those games against really good opponents, really high quality teams in Minnesota and New York. So 2 of the 3 were against really good teams. And he was able to go ahead and get it done, but gets the 51 spot, his high as a Laker today. Absolutely just a fantastic performance. Austin Reeves chipping in per se with 30 himself on 13 of 20 shooting, 4 of 7 from 3, 5 rebounds and 7 assists. But it was a supporting role for LeBron James that I think a lot of people were giving the biggest compliments on, because coming back, I'm sure he's had to hear over the past few days about how the Lakers team is much better without LeBron, much better with just Austin and Luka, much better than him not being in the lineup, things of that nature. He's had to hear quite a bit of that, I'm sure. And in the first half, didn't give much at all. In fact, I think he didn't have any points for quite some time in the first half, but turned it on in the third quarter. Ended up with 18 on 7 of 13 shooting, 4 of 6 on the free throw line, 7 and 7 as far as rebounds and assists. So 18-77, a solid support game from him, especially with DeAndre Ayton scoring so well. And the Lakers get the victory 142-130. Again, 41-25, third place in the Western Conference. So obviously things are looking up. I asked this team, when the door is open for them to take advantage, that they step on right through. And for one of the few times this season, they are taking advantage of that very thing. So hopefully they can continue that with the game on Saturday against what we see with the Denver Nuggets. So we'll see what happens there. But I wanted to go ahead and make sure that the big 3 had their own spotlight, because I think this overall was probably the best game from the big 3. But if you agree with me, this season per se, if you agree with me on that, please let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you on that. Before we head on out, though, I do want to go ahead and acknowledge Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's passing Wilt Chamberlain on the all-time consecutive 20-plus point game record. So he scored 20 more points in, I believe, 127 games, breaking the existing record held by the great Wilt Chamberlain. So yes, what can you say? Just a continued level of excellence over the course of a season plus, a season and a half approximately. Yeah, just absolutely a great performance from him. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he may be able to do going forward as far as the rest of the season and in the playoffs. I think he's already locked up the MVP. But, man, if something happens to him, that could open the door for anyone, including the Lakers. So, but right now he's playing really well. The Oklahoma City Thunder are playing really well. Let me know down below what you think of SGA as his career is really starting to blossom. This is going to be probably what's considered the peak of his career of the next 2, 3, 4 years. What kind of level can he sustain? Again, he's looking more and more like the back-to-back MVP at this point. I want to hear your thoughts on him passing Wilt Chamberlain. As a basketball fan, it's interesting to see these records fall by the wayside. But again, you cannot doubt the level of great play SGA has made, and continuously foul baiting, all that other stuff. I cannot complain about it, foul baiting, because Luka and Austin do it to an extent as well. So again, if you have thoughts on SGA and how good a player you think he is, please let me know in the comments below as well. But speaking of those comments, I thought we'd go ahead and make sure before we head on out, we go ahead and get to your comments as far as it's concerned. So truly appreciate you doing so. Leave it down below along with a like and subscribe. And before we go, again, I want to hit a couple of our regular commenters. Truly appreciate you doing so. First up, I want to go ahead and hit up Craig. Craig, my man, the longer Austin and Luka play, the longer Austin and Luka play together without LeBron, the more likely Austin will come back to the Lakers if they're successful. So we'll see if they're successful with that process. We'll see if that happens. But yeah, just wanted to go ahead and thank Craig so much. He had it on, and again, if they get more reps together, they hopefully will ultimately be more successful in a playoff run. He has been good. If I was LeBron, I would take until the last 2 weeks of the season to come back and be fresh for the playoffs. Pretty solid advice right there. It's not like he's playing for anything as far as during the season to for any awards or anything like that. He's not going to be all NBA. He's already not going to qualify for that. So yeah, that you have a good point. If he takes a little time off to be ready for the back end of the season, that might be a prudent and ardent plan indeed. He said Lakers have to continue to take 3 out of the next 4 games to remain in third place. Yes, I agree. Have to stay at that level, 750 for 3 out of 4 games. They're going to have to go ahead and win, and that's a tough task with some of the tough games coming up. Indeed, yeah, I agree with you. 2 in Houston, I think, back to back. Of course, they got Denver on Saturday. Yeah, there's not a pleasant journey up ahead for the final 15-ish games or so for the Los Angeles Lakers, but I'm looking forward to going ahead and going over it with you guys here upcoming on future episodes. But before we head it out, I want to go ahead and get something my man Pinty was saying earlier in the day in regards to the possible rumor. Now, Frank Iasola of SiriusXM, very famous New York sports writer, has said that he believes or has gotten word that the fine and punishment sent down is going to be 3 first-round picks and $30 million in fines. I don't know if that's the case. Nothing has been official yet, but he does work in and around the area known where NBA offices are located at. So I still say that's still a slap on the wrist. I think you got to do more. And I'm hoping that eventually they'll do more. But my man Pinty says 5 firsts and Kawhi, $50 million off the cap space, no, on the cap space next year. But he is not allowed to play for next season and is not paid. So, okay, this is some brutal stuff here. My man Pinty, if he's commissioner, what he would do is he wants 5 firsts gone, which is, I definitely agree with that. Kawhi, $50 million on the cap space that's left there for next season, but he is not allowed to play and he is not paid. Well, this started with the accusation that he didn't do anything and got paid for aspiration. So, okay, that would be the irony. The irony in that would not be lost on me. I'll just say that. And $500 million in fines, which must be paid. Must be paid for the NBA. Okay, all right. So if that's the case, all right, because you said finger WNBA. I'm not quite sure that it translated as well as you thought it would, but if you want $500 million in fines, if you want to have it paid to the WNBA because of what they're going to with their current negotiations between them, the Players Union, and the league, that'll help things out. That might alleviate this conflict between WNBA and its Players Union. So yeah, why not? $500 million, 5 years, and Kawhi doesn't get paid, but the salary amount still counts on the cap next year for the Clippers. I think that's fair. Of course, it's the Clips, and the Clips are always going to clip. Clips going to clip, and the Lakers are just going to win titles, and that's the way it is. But it is, of course, Lakers Latest. Truly appreciate you joining us. It's Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much again for joining us. I will go ahead and at least get you a Saturday. If something happens on Friday, as far as is concerned, that is news and noteworthy, because I know that Jackson Hayes is still out with the back injury. He was examined. They're still not determined how long he's out. Marcus Smart is listed day-to-day going forward because of the right hip contusion. And then Maxi Kleber is still going to be out a little while longer, and he is also having back issues. So those three guys were out of the lineup tonight. But if there's any updates or anything pertinent with the Lakers, obviously I'll drop a new episode. Or we will go ahead and see you on the recap for Sunday. So you'll either have a full weekend of Lakers latest or at least on Sunday. So all depending on the news that the Lakers bring out there and opinions that you might have. Because if you have a lot of opinions as well, I'm going to go ahead and do a special episode indeed. So again, it's Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much again for joining us. Truly appreciate you stopping on by. Looking forward to a great Lakers weekend and a Lakers victory against Denver coming up here. Lakers in third place. Can they stick with it? Can they stay in third for the rest of the season? We'll find out. But we'll have all the results for you right here as always. And the best in Lakers commentary right here at Lakers Latest. Thanks so much for joining us and have a great day.